Hi, and thanks for joining us on Life with Squacky. I'm Val Kelly, and today we have such a special guest. I'm so excited. We're honored to have Marc Cashman as our special guest today. Marc is an award-winning radio and TV commercial producer, as well as a working voice actor and author. Thanks for joining us today, Marc.
Thanks for having me, Val. This is very, very special.
Well, it's so great to finally meet you face to face. It's been so many years, I feel like, of conversations on LinkedIn, and it's always so great to connect with people. So let's start out by having you tell us how you got started in the voiceover industry.
Wow. You know, I look back here and I just cannot believe that literally over 40 years ago, in 1978, I moved to Los Angeles, and with only one desire, and that was actually, it sounds crazy, but to be a radio commercial producer. That was my goal, to be a radio commercial producer, not a TV commercial, radio. I wanted to specialize in radio and in copy and music, both. So I didn't want to limit myself to one or the other. That was it. That was my goal. Fortunately, maybe about, 3 months after I landed here, I got my first job, a spot for a local amusement park, Knott's Berry Farm, which was basically in competition with Disney, but it was one of the top amusement parks in Southern California. So I realized, I thought, okay, if I could get a job, if I could get a spot on the air in a major market within 3 months of moving here, then the writing was on the wall as far as I was concerned. And so that was basically what I did. Well, for the next 4 years, I still had to, I couldn't do it full time. So I was doing it, well, part-time until I could finally quit my full-time job. So during the day, I got a job as a limousine driver. Actually, during the night is really what it came down to. During the day, it left me with my days free to go and meet with agencies and go into studios and produce and stuff like that. But at night, from 5 in the afternoon till 1 in the morning, I was a limousine driver. I was the original Uber. And I did that for 4 years until finally, after 4 years, I finally got an account, landed an account that paid me in 1 month what I'd been paid in the past 2 years at my job.
Wow.
So I was able to say goodbye to the job, and that was back in 1982, and I never looked back. So I've been writing and producing and casting commercials for over 40 years. And about 20 years ago, somebody asked me, somebody said, "Why aren't you teaching?" And I said, "Well, there are lots of teachers in Los Angeles. At the time, there were something close to 100 different voiceover teachers in Los Angeles." I said, "There are lots of people who are doing that. What would I have to offer?" They said, "Yes, but they don't have your background. They haven't been writing and casting and producing commercials for the past 20 years.
Yeah.
They haven't been in the studio as a producer, as a director. So you bring something new to the table." And I realized, okay, yeah, you're right. And so that was almost 20 years ago. I started in 2000, and I've been teaching for almost 20 years. I've also been I've been teaching private classes. I've been teaching one-on-one coaching, but also I've been teaching at the major universities here, USC, UCLA, Cal Arts, and been doing that again over the years. And so, yeah, so it's a combination of writing, casting, producing, directing, teaching, and I'm also a voice actor and public speaking and writing in terms of my book. I've got my book out there, and I'm working on the sequel, which is cool.
Oh, that's so cool. I can't wait to talk about that. That's one of my questions a little bit further down. So yeah, oh my gosh, that's such a great start in the industry, and you're doing so many amazing things. That's so awesome.
What was really funny was very soon after I started writing and producing commercials, a number of my clients would ask, they said, "We'd like you to do the voiceover." And initially, there's a pushback because I was not trained as a voice actor.
Mm-hmm.
I was not expecting to be a voice actor. But they said, no, we want you to do it. And I said, no, I work with the top voice actors in the world. They're much better than I am. You definitely let me listen to them first. And if you absolutely want me, I'll do it. But listen to them first. Just hoping that they would pick them, because again, I didn't know anything at the time. When they kept saying, no, we want you, I realized, oh boy, I better get with the program here, so I better get some training. Well, at that time, it was back in 1982, I joined one of the very first voiceover workout groups.
Oh, wow. Cool.
Okay, so we're talking about over 35 years ago. This was an actual voiceover workout group who met at a studio once a week, every week, all year long. The last week of December, we had a Christmas party, so we didn't have the class. We didn't have but that was it. But every week, and I was in that group for 6 years.
Wow.
From 1982 to 1988. And I got lucky because I was the new kid on the block. I was the youngest guy the youngest person in the group. All these other people were veteran voice actors. And I just soaked it all up. It was absolutely wonderful. And I learned more in that workout group than in any class I've ever been in, which was great. And that really helped inform me and helped give me a good solid foundation. I remember the very first night I was there, they kept saying, Mark, why don't you go behind the mic? I said, no. I just want to listen. I just want to listen.
Yeah.
And that's all I did was just listen. And as I'm listening, I said, okay, all right, I see what they're doing there. Okay, all right, got that. I wasn't intimidated. I was really excited to be there. But at the same time, I didn't want to just get up there and, perform. I wanted to see what they were doing. I'm one of those guys who, if there's something going on, I'll stand back and watch. I'm not one of those guys who're going to just jump into the pool, not knowing how much water there is in there. Right. I'm not that. I'm an observer before I'm a participant.
Right.
That's just me. But that helped me just tremendously. And now voiceover workout groups are ubiquitous. They're everywhere.
Yeah, definitely. There's so many of them. It's so great. That's great. That's such
in person and online.
Yeah, for sure. So, wow, you've been in this ever-changing industry for close to 40 years. So tell us, how have you seen it change and evolve over the years? Like, what would you say are some of the biggest trends that have been happening over the years?
Well, as you know, and you know that the biggest disruptor over the past 40 years has been the internet. So the internet was a huge game changer, huge. And it affected so many things. It's just absolutely insane how much it affected things and technology and the way we do things and the way we speak for agents and the way we book jobs, et cetera, et cetera. It was just a total game changer in our business and industry as well as everybody else's. But then once the internet started, the old standby of waiting for your agent to send you something. One of the biggest disruptors in our industry was the pay-to-play industry, the pay-to-play phenomenon.
Right.
The Voices.com, the Voice 123, the Bodagos, and all those companies where you didn't need an agent. You did an end run around your agency. Somebody who didn't have an agent was still able to go online and get work and audition. Right. Without an agent, without that entree, without that representation. That was a huge game changer, and that definitely affected the industry. A lot of people said that it was what they called the race to the bottom in terms of pay and payment and stuff like that. And the unions were scrambling to keep up and deal with all the non-union work out there. So that was a huge disruptor as well. pay to play. And then, of course, as technology, as you know, as at least we've seen, their Moore's Law. I finally remembered the title. Moore's Law basically said that technology doubles it used to be every 10 years, then it was 5 years, then it was 3 years, then it was 2 years, and now every single year technology is just getting just leaps and bounds. It's exponential in terms of its evolution, and of course the cost of that technology is being driven down. So
Right.
what used to cost a fortune to put together a home studio of 10 years ago is now actually doable.
Right.
It's actually affordable. So the cost of equipment and the accessibility to that equipment and the accessibility to people who can tell you how to put that equipment together. This is all available, and so people are they're not as intimidated as they used to be in terms of putting that whole thing together. So those are the three major disruptors I've seen in the past 40 years. Again, the internet and the pay to play industry and technology in general. Look what you're doing right now. You're doing this podcast, and 20 years ago, you would have been, you'd say, what are you talking about?
Yeah, exactly. There's
And
so
now
many. I know it's like when the podcast came on the scene, I was like, how can I make this slightly different? Just
that's good. That's the producer
yeah.
in you, Val. That's the producer in you.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I definitely think those are some great. Those are exactly, you nailed it. Exactly. Those are three huge things that have influenced the industry. I think technology in particular has been, it's like changing every day, it seems like. You take that technology sort of like and apply it to the voiceover industry. It is really like, I feel like I'm learning new things every day about, what microphones to use and how to use this program for editing and that program for editing. And it's so interesting to see how that's
Absolutely.
changing and evolving and getting in some ways easier, because I feel like when I first started, I didn't have a clue how to do anything with my demo because it was like on a tape, a cassette
Right.
tape.
Right. That's
So it sat
right.
on a shelf, like I told you before we started, for years, because you didn't have the internet. You didn't have that capability to send an MP3 to someone because it didn't
Absolutely.
exist.
In fact, of the things that you just asked me about, the biggest changes. That's another very, very important thing.
Yeah,
In other words, the original demos, your original voiceover demo was a reel, an actual physical reel with 1/4-inch tape wrapped around it.
yeah,
Right, and so people would have little reel-to-reel players that they would listen to stuff on. Well, then along came the cassette. Oh my God. And then the cassette recorder and that one. So instead of putting the whole reel on and the whole thing with the loops and the this and the that and everything else like that, you just stick this little thing in a slot, boom, done, and hit play. And
right,
everybody says, oh, that's fantastic. Well, then the cassette, again, technology it advanced, and then it went from the cassette to the mini disc. The mini disc, this tiny little square thing that looked like I don't know, it was just this little square thing, maybe half the size of a smartphone. Then that was only for a couple of years until came finally the CD. And
right,
the CD said, "Oh my gosh, we're look at us, we're really technologically cool now." So people were pressing CDs like LPs and stuff like that, and sending them out in the little jewel cases and stuff like that.
right.
And then everybody said, "Let's just go to the cloud. Let's just go internet. Let's just go links and active links." And so now it's insane.
Yeah,
It's just absolutely insane how you could just press a button and send your demo to China, to Australia, to London, to Iceland, to South Africa, to anywhere in the world with the click of a button. That is insane to me.
yeah,
And
totally.
it's so second nature now. We don't even think about it.
Yeah,
But that is huge. The ability for you or me sitting in our little booth, our little closet, our little home studio, and being able to communicate with anybody in the world and say, here's what I do. And they say, I love it. And then they say, let's make a date. Let's record you. And they'll press another couple of buttons, and you'll start talking and do your thing. And then halfway around the world, they're using your voice on something, and they also paid you electronically.
Right.
Everything with the touch of a button. This, to me, again, if you told people about this 40 years ago, this is what was going to be 40 years ago, they'd laugh at you.
Yeah, exactly. I think I entered the voiceover industry from when it first started. For me, the first start of it was me getting my demo produced, and it was on a cassette tape, like I told you. But they were like, "Are you sure you don't want to do it on a CD?" And I was like, "Nah, they're never gonna really. CDs are never gonna catch on." That's literally how old school I was. I was like, "Nah, I'm good with my cassette tapes. I love my cassette tapes." So funny. So, oh my gosh. So, as someone coming at this from both sides of the glass, what are a few tips that you could give to voice actors who are just starting out?
This may sound like something that they hear all the time, but you know as well as I do that if you don't get training, if you don't get an education, if you don't understand what's going on, if you just think, oh, I can speak English, I can open my mouth, I can articulate, what's so hard? Well, then you're missing the boat because every single thing that you want to do in life, that you want to do well, that is a craft, that's an art, that's a skill, you have to train. You have to get education. You have to understand what it is you're talking about.
Right.
You wouldn't want a doctor who went to 1 year of medical school operating on you.
Yeah.
Or 6 weeks of medical school. Some people think that they can take a 4 or 6 week course and say, okay, I'm a voice actor. Okay. I just don't. If you graduated elementary school, does that mean that you're going to go into business?
Yeah.
You've already spent
Exactly.
6 years in
I think
school.
it's so important too because people just starting out, there's still a fair amount of those companies that are like, oh, come to it, and I did that to start, all
Yes.
those years ago. Oh, come to this class for 6 weeks and we'll do your
Yes.
demo for you and you'll be
Mm-hmm.
great, and of
Yeah.
course there was no marketing aspect to it whatsoever. You had no idea what to do with your demo once it was done. It was
Yes,
a
but
pile of
again,
scripts.
how
You
you can
pick
do a
which one.
demo, how to do a professional demo, how to perform on a professional demo after just 6 weeks of training. I don't know how that's even possible.
Exactly. I had no idea what I was doing.
That's
And
okay. A
so,
lot of people
yeah,
don't.
yeah. So, that I think that's definitely important for the people just starting out, that they not only have to get training, like you said, but to
Yes.
continue and continue and continue, because even people like you and I who have been in the industry for a long time, you
Yes.
still always have to keep training. You can't ever really stop and just be like, oh, I'm good enough. Let's,
The
you know,
best, I always remind my students, the best actors never stop learning. And
yeah,
any actor who you admire has a coach. Any artist you admire has a coach. Any sports figure you admire has a coach. Every professional you admire has either a coach or continues to go to classes
right.
and get education. The best actors never stop learning. The pros never stop learning because they want to keep their skills sharpened and
Yeah.
honed. And they also know that there are 100 people behind them waiting to step over their warm body if they falter.
Exactly. Yeah, I feel like the industry is saturated with like you said, people that are like, oh, I can read, so I can be a voice actor, and
That's
that's
right.
totally
That's
not the
right.
case, and I think that gets so frustrating to kind of deal with. But I think once people start, exploring it and researching it, they realize, oh, I actually do need to know how to act and take acting classes. It's voice acting, it's not just voiceover.
That's right. And I do make a distinction, a definite distinction between voiceover and voice acting.
Yeah.
Voiceover is 2.9% financing for 60 months on all vehicles in stock. That doesn't require a lot of acting.
Right.
Right. And yes, there's a definite need for announcers, no question about it. You need to be articulate. You need to be able to speak quickly, both at the same time. But if you want to work a lot, you're going to be you're going to have to do more than just be an announcer, more than just voiceover.
Right. To be able to kind of, to analyze the script and be able to pull the information out of it that you need
Basically,
to be
do
able
what
to
every other
connect to
legitimate
it.
actor does. That's right.
Right.
That's right. Yeah.
So we all know that this industry can be tough to break into. The last thing anyone wants to do is make a huge faux pas when they're just starting out. As someone who's seen a ton of auditions, what would you say the number one faux pas is that newcomers to the industry should try to avoid?
Auditioning before they're ready is really what it comes down to. And again, particularly with the pay to plays, you don't have to wait for representation from an agent. You can just go online. You can pay your subscription. You can get your auditions every day and audition. But if you don't know what you're doing,
right, you're not going to book anything.
Then yeah, I mean, basically, you're wasting your time at that particular point because you're not going to be competitive. So
Right.
there's no point in investing that kind of money. The smartest thing to invest your money in is training and is education. And you talk about faux pas. Make your faux pas in class. Make your mistakes in class.
Good.
Crash and burn and do all the stupid things that you are thinking of doing or not even realizing you're doing. Do that in class, not in the real world. Get your training. That's the best advice I can give anybody who's thinking of starting out. And along with that, do your homework, do
Right.
research. If you're thinking of studying with somebody, find out all about them. If someone says, "Hey, you check out so and so," and you Google so and so, and they don't come up, that alone tells you a lot.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
And then,
I think definitely getting referrals from people as far as, who other people that you trust in the industry
absolutely, absolutely. Get
have trained with.
testimonials.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Just do your homework, do your research. Make sure that you know who you're dealing with before you hand over your hard-earned money.
right.
There are a lot of people out there who want to separate you from your money in a heartbeat.
Yeah, for sure.
And they don't care whether you're ready or not, or whatever the case may be. That's the other thing. Don't do a demo until you're ready. Don't do a demo until you absolutely know you're ready. People say, well, how do I know I'm ready? The people who you're training with. Unless you're training with a company who says, come work with us for 2 days, 3 days, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and we'll put a demo together for you. That's basically, I've heard of one company who says, train with us for 2 days and we'll do your demo on the third day.
What?
Yes, absolutely. So it's already gotten down to that. Yeah. It only costs, I think, like $6,000 or something like that.
6,000? What?
Plus airfare and hotel and stuff like that. Oh yeah.
Insanity.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So when you hear stories like that, run away.
Yeah, run the other direction.
Because they just want to separate you from your money.
Yeah.
And anybody who thinks that they can have 2 days of training and all of a sudden be an instant voice actor, because people want it. They want it quick. They want it now. They want it yesterday.
It overnight, yeah.
They want it overnight. They want to be an overnight success. And they think, hey, again, I can read. I can speak English. I can articulate. I can open my mouth. What's so hard?
Yeah.
And they think that after 2 days and a demo, they're professional. They're going to be putting themselves out there. And as my wife says, there you go thinking again.
Yeah. So, okay. So as the author of VO, Tips, Tricks, Tools, and Techniques to Start and Sustain Your Voiceover Career, what are some of the highlights from this book that you can share with us?
Wow. I mean, there's just so much in my book that truthfully, if you read it from cover to cover, your head will explode. And that's, but in a good way, definitely in a good way, right? Without the brain spatter on the wall, all right? But your head will definitely explode because all these light bulbs are going to go off. But one of the most important things that I tried to teach people is that words and phrases have value and dimension and depth. They have value. You're not just reading words. That's voiceover. This is voice acting. And and the other thing in my book is that the basic techniques of acting need to be put into voice acting. For instance, again, we have four legitimate actor situations. One is stage. One is on camera. One is behind a microphone. And one is in between, it's called puppetry. But that's acting. That's voice acting, and also a lot of physical manipulation as well. It's an amazing thing. But those four areas of acting is acting, and trained actors learn how to, well, if they're going through a play or movie, or again even a puppeteer going through a play, there's a process that actors have that's called discovery. They discover everything about their character. They discover everything that character, the relationship that character has with any other characters in the play, and the story arc the character goes through. And they spend 4, 5, 6 weeks doing discovery, exploring, and understanding everything about their character. They spend a lot of time, and that's why they become so believable on stage, on camera. They're believable. But a lot of people in voiceover and voice acting think they don't have to do that. That all they have to do is read. All they have to do is open their mouth. And that's one thing that I dispel right off the bat. Right off the bat in my book. The other thing is that voice actors don't understand how they're handicapped. We're handicapped. When we're in our booth, when we're in our closet, we can't see the audience like a stage actor or film actor can. We can't hear an audience like a stage or a film actor can. The audience can't see us. They can't see our facial expressions. They can't see our body language. They can't see us. So they're blind. We're blind and deaf, and they're blind. The only thing they can do is hear us. And so a voice actor has to understand that they've got to compensate for the fact that they don't have the advantages that other legitimate actors have. They have to get themselves out of that booth, out of that closet. And I teach them how to do that.
Wow, that's a lot. That's already, I'm like, I need to read your book.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's such good advice. It's really fascinating. You know, it's such a learning process, you know, and I love learning the techniques. And the conversational read with less announcer, more down to earth has been kind of a trend the last, I don't know, a while now. It's been a while.
Oh, yeah.
Do you have any tips on how to approach that type of work?
Yeah, I mean, seriously, it really just comes down to framing the story and understanding who it is you're talking to and where you are. And of course, who you are and why you're even saying what you're saying.
Right.
Again, it's just doing what every actor does, and that's being connected to the story.
Right.
I always say, if you don't understand who you are, where you are, and who you're talking to, you don't understand the story. And if you don't understand the story, you should shut your mouth. My dad always told me, if you don't know what you're talking about, shut up. So in terms of the conversational read is always going to be, the conversational read actually, now more and more I hear what they call the throwaway read, the flat read, the read that doesn't even sound like you're reading. It just sounds like you're or it doesn't sound like you're talking. It sounds like you're reading to me many times. I just, in terms of genres, it just depends on the story. It
Right.
all depends on the story. You have to approach it as an actor, not as specifically a voice actor. You are an actor. So if you don't understand the story, you're not going to be able to tell it well. So in terms of the different genres, the conversational read, there's always going to be a call for that. There's always going to be a call for announcers. A lot of people put announcers down. Let me tell you, announcing is not an easy thing. Good announcer does a lot of work. And so there'll always be a call for announcers. if you consider yourself, and that's another thing too that people forget, is that not everybody in voiceover is an actor, or needs to be an actor, or can be an actor. I'm serious. I'm serious. There's a lot of room in the voiceover industry for non-actors.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing that connects actors and non-actors is no matter what you are, you still have to tell a story.
Right.
Okay. Now you could be a narrator telling a story, or you could be a narrator and a bunch of characters telling a story. So there's a difference between fiction and nonfiction. There's a difference between animation and e-learning. There's a difference between video games and explainer videos. All right. So not everybody is an actor, nor can be, nor should be.
Right.
So there's so much room in our industry for both. so in terms of genres, basically, I would place them into acting versus non-acting,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a place for everybody. And anybody who's being pressured into, oh, you need to be an actor, and just say, hey, I'm not an actor. I don't want to be an actor. I don't want to inhabit characters. I just want to tell a story. I want to explain things. I want to instruct people, et cetera, et cetera. That's my area. That's my area of strength. Great. There's plenty of room for you out there for that. Other people say, I got a million voices inside me. I want to do cartoons, and I want to do video games, and I want to do characters for commercials. Great. There's plenty of room for that as well. That's the beauty of this industry. It encompasses everybody. So in terms of genres, they're like trends. They come and they go. Things are popular, unpopular. You just have to go with the flow, go with the trend. The most important thing you can do is listen, listen, listen. Here's something that virtually nobody does. When a TV spot comes on, close your eyes. Don't watch the spot. Listen to the voiceover. Listen to what that actor is doing. Don't look. Listen. You'll learn so much more. And the easiest way to do that, believe it or not, is to get a pair of, like for $50, wireless headphones.
Mm-hmm.
Wireless headphones. Hook up a pair of wireless headphones to your TV and crank up the volume and really be able to listen to that voiceover delivery.
Yeah.
Instead of getting caught up in the visuals. Listen to what's going on. You'll learn so much. It's ridiculous.
Right. That's such great advice. I like the way that you explained that acting versus non-acting, because I don't think anyone's ever explained it to me in that way before, honestly. Yeah. That makes sense. So,
oh, and then one of your questions, so